Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the 16 millimeter film crew. I'm Cindy.
And I'm Dale.
This week we watched the drama written and directed by Christopher Borgli. Sorry, Borgili, maybe?
I'm not Italian or French, so
I'm always bad at the
I
names.
would butcher it worse than you. So I'm gonna let you do you do it.
Borgili. Let's say it's that. Okay. So this movie is about a happy couple who is engaged and they get put to the test when an unexpected revelation sends their wedding week off the rails. This movie stars Zendaya and Robert Pattinson, along with Alina Haim, Mamoudou Ati, and Haley Gates. So, what were your thoughts about this one?
I like the idea that they tried to film it or stylize it as a psychological thriller in a way or a horror movie. I like those touches because and not just that, but also the fact that they embrace a lot of comedic elements of this movie. It's a very well matched the genres, but I did felt a little like it dragged on a bit too much. Probably didn't have to be almost what an hour and 30 minutes almost, or 2 hours. I
Hour
think
45, yeah.
45. I don't think it had to be that long. This could have been like almost like yeah, it could have been like almost an hour long. You know, there are some points I did enjoy the depth that they were talking about. But other than that, given after the initial reveal of what she did and the fallout from that, like the last third of the movie kind of drags on a bit more. Oh, but yeah, that's my short version.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this movie is like fine. Like it was funny. I laughed a lot. Most of the people in my theater were laughing. Um, so they had some really good comedic elements in there. I think the chemistry between Zendaya and Rob was really good. I think that like most of the performances were really good. I think I liked the initial idea of like you're about to get married this weekend and like you find out this really major thing about your partner that you didn't know before
Mm.
and how that can change your relationship. But it was just not there were just I feel like it kind of set things up, but it didn't really explore it in maybe the depth that it requires. I don't know. I like watched it and I was like, I don't know how I feel about this one. Like it was funny, but like to me, it kind of seems like an SNL sketch
Mm.
where it's like you have the setup, like okay, the bride and the groom and the best man and the maid of honor go to dinner and they're playing this game. And the game is what's the worst thing you've ever done? And then you kind of and the worst thing the bride's ever done is this thing. And then it kind of felt like a elongated SNL sketch, which isn't like a slam. It's just that's kind of how it felt. Like it kind of didn't feel like a full story. Like it felt like there was like a good idea, but like the rest of it never really went anywhere. I think that's kind of how I feel. I just don't feel like it went anywhere. And I was like, okay, well then what was the point of us doing this?
Yeah. Um. I feel so. Let's. You want to? Do we want to spoiler filled review?
Spoiler.
Okay.
Okay,
So
there you
yeah.
go.
So the next. So as of this moment, I'm gonna count you down. You got like 5 seconds to either stop this podcast, even though we want the listens, we want the view counts, but we are going to get really spoilerific. So you got 5 seconds. I'm gonna count down for y'all. Five, four,
Yeah, it's already been spoiled
three.
before.
It's oh no, it's okay. It's already been spoiled. I was trying to be
So
generous, give y'all a chance. Um, yeah. So if I'm getting married, right, and understandably so, um, this funny the other biracial couple, asks them to espouse, what their worst experience was or what's the worst thing they did. Of course, being scared of a dog as a dude is kind of like kind of soft. Then you have Anaheim playing Rachel, or Alana Haim playing Rachel, say she locked a disabled boy in a closet in the woods in an RV and left. And when her father, the person's father came by, she still didn't say anything. And then it goes on to Robert Pattinson say the worst he probably did was what cyberbully somebody. Like
Mhm.
the movie already from that point on places Robert Pattinson as somebody his character is unfallible. Somebody
Mhm.
has no wrongdoing. So now when you get the reveal of Zendaya's character of her big thing, you kind of see him around because he's supposed to be this perfect, like I can do no wrong. Like I'm like squeaky clean kind of person. But when she reveals that she had a plan to perform a mass shooting, they all freaked out, which is understandable. But she said, I didn't go through with it, and I would still be concerned, like, as to why you would do that. But the fact that she didn't go through with it is a good thing. Like, because even Robert Pattinson later on in the movie, after a lot of stuff that we're going to cover as well, he realizes that she's probably not the only one ever in life to have thought that. Like, there's probably millions of people who've thought that, but only few have actually committed it.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
if you think about it in the grand scheme of things, it's probably kind of normal, even though it shouldn't be, but it kind of is. But then when he actually sits down and talks to her, and she reveals everything to him, she opens up and says, "I was essentially bullied. I had no friends or ostracized." Like, even when he's asking her, like, "Why I've never seen pictures of you when you're younger," she's like, "I don't want to bring it up. I don't want to talk about that." You know, when somebody you're about to marry, like, of course, reveals a story like that, like wanting to kill people, but then goes into why, and they reveal to you they were a bullied person. At that point, the rapid paranoia Robert Pattinson goes on is um un, I have no sympathy or support for his actions the rest of the movie. Like, and I find it funny that when they were talking about promotion to this in this movie, they were mentioning their partners and whatever relationship. She said, My person, as far as Tom Holland, is the person I feel most comfortable with. And I thought that was very important in watching this movie. Like, I think in having these conversations about relationships and couples, they kind of gave a bit of the plot away. Now that I've seen it and I understand it, like when she said, "My person is makes me the most comfortable," your fiance, the girl you've been with since like they were like 28, now almost 31, 4 or 5 years, whatever, that you're about to marry, reveals something that deep and personal to them. At that point, you support them. You realize they've changed. You realize they were in a deep, dark moment. You don't dwell on it and have this paranoia fixation. Because throughout the rest of the movie, when they're preparing for the wedding, every interaction for the most of them, he's imagining her as that little girl who was ashamed and afraid and about to do this terrible action. Which, like, and you already from that point for me, I didn't respect or support Robert Pattinson's character, and then from there, it spiraled off and got worse and worse.
Yeah, it's it's something that I'm noticing. In terms of the projects Zendaya is involved with, not so much Euphoria, or maybe not since I guess like season one or something,
Mm,
but she's often in these movies where it's like you think it's about her, but it actually is about the men around her.
yeah.
Like that happened in Challengers.
Challengers is happening. What's
It's
the
It's Dune. Like
Dune?
Dune,
What's
she's not really like the main.
yeah, the one with her and John David Washington? It was more like
It was
more about
about him.
him. Yeah,
And this is yet another film where you think it's going to be about, because to me, the exploration of like, you're a bullied child and you plan, like, it's not like she wanted to just like kill people. Like, she
yeah,
did take measured steps to
yeah.
actually do it. I think maybe that's like
Mm,
another element to this, but she doesn't go through with it, right? And then she gets older. She's desired by people. She's a beautiful person. Everyone likes her, whatever. She has this new life. She has this partner, whatever. And and she's telling him this story, and she's like, and they're about to get married, right? So there's clear stakes. Like
mhm.
there's this huge bomb that gets let off, and then the wedding is happening in a few days. I feel like with this character, we could have explored more about like where she is now, because the only exploration you really get is in flashbacks, and that's a different actress playing the character. It's not Zendaya.
Mhm.
And so I was wondering, like, okay, this is an interesting premise, but you're really just seeing Robert Pattinson spiral. Like you're seeing Charlie like slowly lose his mind as the days continue on.
Yeah,
And I just feel like it was weird to put the perspective of the story on him and not on her. or
Mhm.
even make it like 50-50 because it really is about him having a difficult time understanding her like
Prior
choices when she was
experiences,
when
yeah.
she was younger, which I thought was weird. I found that weird because I was like, well, wouldn't we be focusing on like her and like how she's dealing with this maybe because in present day she kind of just doesn't want to talk about it,
Mm,
and every time she like goes to talk about it, she gets sick or something like that. Like there's no real communication.
mm.
And even towards the end where Rob cheats on her, he like makes out and he's almost about to sleep with this other woman, and then they all find out at the wedding, which ghetto, oh my God. But she doesn't say anything either. Like there's no resolution of these kind of bigger things that we're setting up. It's just like, okay, so what does Emma feel about any of this? We never find out. Like
Mm.
we don't even know the conversation that they have, three of them together, Rob, sorry, Charlie, Emma, and then the woman who he was like making out with, who's at their wedding for some. Why would you go to the wedding if
I
you
think they had
what?
like invited all their coworkers and stuff,
Yeah, but you made out with the dude. Why would you show up to the wedding? And why would you ever bring your partner? That is crazy. That is crazy. Like this, they were just like, we're gonna defy logic and just be messy. And it's like, okay, fine, I'll go with it. But we don't know what that conversation is. It's just over. We go back to the grand room where everyone else is. And then at the end, it's just like, okay, well, can we just start over and just act like we just met? And it's like, no, I want communication. I want, even if you don't have resolution right away, like if you did just want to end it on the wedding night, like, can we have some communication between these characters? It feels like no one's talking.
yeah.
They just do that annoying edit. Honestly, the editing was really driving me crazy. I'm not gonna lie, but like they'll just do like these quick edits to show how Rob is like freaking out about this thing. Where like I don't know, because anyways, yeah, that just pissed me off. That pissed me off because I was like, to me, that's not good writing.
Yeah.
That's like you didn't want to really like you set up these things, but you didn't really want to get into it
Mm.
because you didn't really know how to get into it. Which, like, listen, I'm sure it's not easy, but like if this is the premise that we're going with, I feel like we should be getting into some stuff. And
Yeah.
I just don't like the fact that Zendaya always seems sidelined in her own projects. It's just it's always weird to me when I see that. I'm like, then what is going on here?
Mm. Yeah, it's and you're right. I wish the movie spent more time on both of them because it's clear that she's chosen to ignore those that instance or that time period, which is fair. But it's clear that she still has deep seated issues that she hasn't fully recovered from. Um, and it's one of those things as the movie progresses and you see her actually she plans to do it the following day and the day and the day before her somebody else commits a shooting and kills people. Um, you know, she somehow starts to mourn and starts to cry and all that stuff. The idea of actually taking somebody's life kind of I think is more the thing that hit her
Mm-hmm.
and what changed her the concept of actually killing somebody once it was somebody they already knew, like a
Mm-hmm.
classmate. That's that personal connection. It's no longer somebody I don't know or somebody I'm thinking of. Like she was only thinking about it surface level, like, oh, I'm going to kill this person and probably kill myself. It's not until it hit her, like, oh, it's somebody I know, like regardless of if they were, because they don't always say if he was, it was mostly the girls that were bullying her.
Mm-hmm.
It's somebody that she's seen, she knows that's, and she hits like, oh, that person's no longer there. And then once they start doing the grief counseling with school and they're like, oh, this is only a boys thing, and she was like, no, it's not, it's a girl thing, which she's speaking to personally, dealing with those things of being bullied and want to exact revenge. And at that moment, another boy invites her to their little and it's clear that the initial thing was slightly being attracted to her now, in a weird way. I got that vibe of
Mm-hmm.
wanting, and she joins the group, and then another guy's like, "Oh, you should talk for us," and she's like, "Well, you got the face for it." Once again, you know, people connecting to her or actually finding her whatever attractive in some way at high school, that age, whatever, regardless of it. And it's not till she finds that group of people and a connection that she like course corrects and no longer thinks the way she does. It's kind of like what a lot of people say, a lot of people join gangs and stuff because they're looking for bonds. They have nobody, you know. So her now having this, protest group of other students having bonds, not having friends, that hole that was there for not having people who she was okay, cool, I'll kill you guys, kill myself. That hole is now filled. But didn't reconcile with the issues she had that led her to that point. She just kind of just pushed it to the bottom, you know.
Yeah. And I think what you're saying about like maybe how she's finding validation through her beauty, through her looks, would have been a really interesting thing to unpack. You know what I'm saying? Like that would have been interesting, like to get into, especially because she's getting married. Like there is, I think a lot, especially for a lot of women, there is that the validation of like finding a man, finding an attractive man who has a good job or whatever, like that. Not that it gives you validation, but I think for some people it that does feel validating for them, or like that is like one of your purposes as a woman is to do this thing. And like if we could have connected all the dots, like that would have been really interesting to talk about.
Yeah.
But we don't get any of that.
Yeah.
Like,
And it's clear because once again, her bridesmaid, Rachel, played
mhm.
by Alana Haim, was never initially her friend. She was
Yeah, and you
she
saw
was
how
her
quick she switched up.
she was her boyfriend's friend that became her friend.
Hmm.
Once again finding a group and joining that group and forming bonds with people, but the people aren't really your friends in a way. It's more surface level. And it was kind of clear this they really did set it up from the jump, because when they're talking about what they're going to write in their speeches or their personal vows, um, she was like, Rachel was like, the first thing it was, don't cry. You're ugly when you cry. At that point, you already see the Rachel kind of trying to put her down to put herself up
Hmm.
in a way.
Hmm.
Once Rachel loses her project at work. She blames Zendaya's character, who herself has been trying to contact her and reach out to her. Like she goes on a vindictive spell. So once she loses her, because their boss is like, "Have you seen her? She hasn't come in and worked it. Like nothing. This is like like the wedding leading up to the wedding is supposed to like a week or a couple of days to it." But she just after that reveal, she doesn't even go to work. Whatever, to the point where the boss is like, "Yo, have you seen her and talked to her?" She's like, "No." But then you blame her for you getting fired. That kind of thing. And then through her speech, it's a thinly veiled diss track, like Ether's playing in the background with subtle shots, at hits, validating the fact that we were never really friends, like you thought we were, kind of thing.
Hmm. Yeah, and she's fake.
Mm.
I'll just say it. Like, you are not a fake. Well, I mean, to be honest, it doesn't seem like she was really her friend. I think that was
Yeah,
mainly the thing.
yeah,
So maybe it wasn't her being fake. Maybe that was just her being herself. Because, like,
yeah,
she actually wasn't her friend. And I think that it is kind of weird because the character of Emma doesn't have friends.
yeah,
So, like, even in present day, she doesn't have friends. She's like friends with her boyfriend's friends.
yeah,
So, again, there was honestly, I feel like if it was written by a woman, we would have gotten a lot more detail. But because it was written by a man, I guess we had to stay on Charlie. But that's just my
yeah,
opinion. Um, but I feel like all the relationships are kind of weird. Like the relationship between Charlie and Emma, it very much seems like he's only really in love with her because of like his like a very idealized version of
version
like
of
what whoever she is, like he's making it up.
yeah,
Not that like she is like he's taking what she's giving, but he's
and
also
filling the blanks himself.
yes, and
Yeah,
he's like elaborating on that. And so once she cracks that by telling him what the worst thing she's ever done, like it does send him spiraling in a way where I'm like, I don't know if you actually love this person. Cause I mean, if someone said that to you, like that is bad, right? Like if someone was like, I planned a mass murder, but I didn't actually like a mass shooting, but I actually didn't do it.
mhm.
I would be alarmed. I would. I'm not gonna say like this isn't a big deal and like he shouldn't have the reaction that he had
No,
initially.
it's
Like
very valid.
I
All
get
their
it.
reactions were valid
Yeah,
in
I
a
get
way.
it. I feel like Rachel's is a little much. I
She's the
mean,
one person I don't think had a valid reason.
she was like, my cousin was in a mass shooting and she is, and that's why she's in a wheelchair. And it's
Yeah,
like, okay.
I
Like,
get
yeah,
it.
that I get it. But like I feel like your reaction to this is a little way too over the top. Or maybe it's I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure. Let me not even. I'm not gonna go there. It
I
just kind
mean,
of seemed a little.
like Robert Pattinson goes to her at the end where they're talking about what she did because she wants to call the day before the wedding and say, I'm not being your maid of honor anymore.
Yeah.
And then she shows up in an all black dress the day of the wedding. She's like, he's like, you locked a disabled kid in the closet. He could have died as well. And she's like, but he didn't though. Like you're disregarding the point. The man's father came to you, asked where your son is. He didn't want to answer. Like you knew the cops were searching. You didn't answer. Like she planned something, didn't didn't go through with it and change. You actively had somebody locked in the room. But even like yours was premeditated, yours happened spur of the moment.
Yeah.
But the issue is the circumstances around that. She didn't go through with it. She changed. You had multiple chances. You had when he initially was scared to unlock the door. You had when his father came to unlock the door. You had when a search party came to unlock the door. You have three chances, and at neither point did you decide, okay, I'm going to rectify my mistake.
Mm.
So you have no grounds to stand on. Like she had plans to kill somebody. You almost legitimately killed somebody as well.
This is true.
So
Yeah. So she really didn't have the right to be judgmental. But yeah. So I just feel like, I guess to me, it's like, well, who is a person that you know right now? And then, like, obviously, you talk about it, you get into it, and you understand like what the circumstances around it were. And then you can say, okay, well, that's not great, but you're not that person
yeah,
anymore. So that's fine. We move on. The fact that he like had such a downward spiral where like he was literally like losing his mind. Like he was thinking about every time that she got upset, thinking that she was like the same person who was like who would shoot up someone like if they almost ran her down, because I think that was like one of the scenes where they were like walking across a crosswalk and a car like, I don't know, what did he
almost runs
do?
them over. But it's
Almost runs them over, and she got rightfully upset. And he was like, "Oh my god, is that the same person who can take a gun or a knife and hurt me, whatever?" It's just like, why are you so weird?
yeah,
Like to me, his I think he was kind of overreacting.
yeah,
And for like the comedy of the movie, it was funny. Like
yeah.
it added elements that were hilarious to the movie to make it like over the top and ridiculous, and I think that that was fine. But I think in terms of like when I look at it beyond the genre and I'm actually looking at it as a film, I'm like, yeah, his reaction was way over the top. He did not need to be doing the stuff that he was doing. And a part of it also feels like racially charged, where it's like because she's a black woman, like there's maybe something about like, the angry black woman, and maybe he got scared after he found out that news because he thought she would hurt him or whatever. And it's just like, maybe if you wanted to go in that direction and talk about that, but I mean, I don't think that would have been a good idea. Maybe that's maybe they should have just left it there. I mean,
It'd be very Paul Thomas Anderson like.
yes, and I don't think we need another one of those. So, we move. But yeah, I just felt like his downward spiral and just like absolutely like ruining everything. It kind of was just like, you're doing three most, man. Like you are just doing too much right now. And so I was just wondering, like, and because like the their relationship is depicted in like montage, we don't really spend time like getting to know them as a couple in terms of like before we get to the wedding. We get montages of them together and laughing and doing other stuff. So by the time that we like really get to know them, like they're already falling apart because the big bomb happens pretty early in the movie. So it's just like
Mm.
we don't even know what they're like together for real.
I
And
mean,
so it's hard. To me, it was like harder to like deal with this fallout and really understand like why you choose to stay if that is what your decision is, why you really do love this person, because I didn't spend much time with you, so I don't really know. Like I am taking your word for it, but I don't know, it just.
I mean, it's clear because when I guess when they first start dating, and she tells one of her coworkers, "Well, yeah, that's my boyfriend." She
Mhm.
starts gets heart palpitations because
Yeah, she had a full-on panic
she doesn't
attack.
know this is her first time actually like revealing that she likes somebody, and she didn't know how to handle it because she never did it before. So like it's clear she cared probably more about him Then
Mm.
her, well, problem with him, then the reverse, because we didn't get that, dichotomy. And it's clear, like she mentioned before, when you overdwell on stuff, you go crazy. Like that's why I guess in one of his speeches, like he mentions the way she calms him down, like making jokes and making funny, making him laugh, distracting him because he has a tendency to hyper focus on stuff and make things worse, which was what we witnessed, with his downward spiral. But then he tries to flip it on a head where she's like, "Oh, we need to really talk about this because now you're going crazy." He's like, "Oh, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk." Like you pushed her to talk about why she was doing what she wanted to do, what she wanted to do. But the moment she's like, "We need to talk about you tweaking over this," and he's like, "No, no, no, no," and she keeps bringing up like, "No, we need to talk about this," and he's adamantly refuses to the point where he tries to mirror her behavior of trying to make it fun. But in that moment, she's serious because like you're acting crazy. And then he doesn't want to accept his craziness, and that's when he like headbutts her accidentally and stuff like that. But it's clear like he has like a manic episode or manic behavior that he doesn't also want to confront as well. You know?
Yeah, they need therapy. Like they really need help, like individually. And then I guess together if they still choose to be together. Like because now I'm thinking like after all that happened, like how are you gonna have a functioning relationship? Like you guys are both insane. Like
Yeah.
you both need help. Not insane, but just like you have things that you haven't worked out. And that's gonna come back up again. Like I don't know if he's actually over the situation. He says like when he's giving his speech, he's like, I don't care if you actually did kill someone. Like, of course you would care. If you're falling apart at just the thought of me doing it, like
Yeah.
there's no way
No
that
way you would.
you would
Yeah.
be okay with that. Like there's absolutely no way. So he has issues, she has issues. It's just kind of a mess. And I'm like, I don't know what this marriage is gonna be like, but I don't know. It kind of seems like it won't be good.
Yeah. And then my like, of course, everybody's most hated person probably Rachel throughout the movie, but
Oh.
I also don't like his friend as well, the other black guy, where it seems like he's really their dynamic and their relationship is more so he's really passive
Hmm.
in a way where like you know she's like when she starts getting upset over an issue, he's like he doesn't say calm down. She's like, no, fuck this. Then when it goes to them talking about what she did with the three of them at work or whatever, she's like, oh, but he grew up around. He's afraid of guns. He was like, oh, I thought you said you grew up around guns. Like, no, I grew up around guns. This guy I'm afraid of guns. Like she's making assumptions about her partner based on stuff she doesn't know. And yeah, a lot like her character is like really a Karen, top 10 movie Karen. So,
That's
and
exactly what she
so,
is.
but yeah, like, but I also the black friend, I really didn't like his character either. I thought he was like really, really weak. In a way, like
Hmm.
the first thing he says, like when they're freaking out the next day about whatever, he's like, "Oh, do you want me to punch her? I'll punch her." Like, no, you're not. You were scared of a dog. You just heard this girl talk about she was gonna kill people. You're not doing it. Let's be real.
Yeah, not the best friends. He doesn't have the best friends.
Um,
And it kind of makes sense, like why he's so neurotic and like annoying. Like the thing is like if someone else was playing this character and it wasn't someone who I personally liked, like Robert Pattinson, I don't know if I would like the character of Charlie either.
yeah,
I think the character would really irritate me. But I think it's because I like Robert Pattinson, it kind of smooths over some of Charlie's worst qualities a little
yeah,
bit for me as a viewer, but like he is also like I don't like him trying to prop himself up as like the nice guy or like the
yeah.
good guy, even when he's like like cheating on his literally about to get married tomorrow, literally cheating with this woman at work and then crying about it. I'm like, oh, I can't. Mm-mm. That's not for
I
me.
mean, my thing though as well is like when they all get together and she calls and says, "Oh, I won't be at the wedding." Why do you go sit there with that person? Yes, it's your boyfriend, it's your friend's wife now. Why do you go sit there with that person and beg her essentially show up to the wedding to still be her maid of honor? At that point, you're like, okay, you're my friend, but this is my wife. She told me why she did this. She did it. I don't agree with it. I've somehow, some way, between her revealing that and him cheating, he realizes he was wrong to judge her or make a rush judgment. And is explaining that to his friends. At that point, I'm like, you know what? You don't want to come, don't come.
Yeah, that's
But
what I would
then,
have
but
said.
then also knowing, like I said, his friend being the weak person he is like, oh, you can't do that. You know, she's my wife. I can't be at the wedding if she's not gonna be there. Then it's like, okay, for in that sense, like how you're supporting your wife, I'm supporting my wife. You're my friend, but that's my wife. You're like, if she does, if she can't show up to the wedding, you don't think it's fair, even though you're my best friend, you don't have to show up either. Like you kind of have to draw a line. And I think that's kind of why she still shows up anyway, because he doesn't want to like look. He doesn't want to put out the ultimatum. He goes essentially, he goes, "You're my friend. If you want to show up the wedding, you still can show up." Giving her the wherewithal to still come back and give her best wedding speech. You know,
Hmm.
so
Yeah, they're all kind of annoying. I think the scariest or most unsettling part about this movie is the fact that like the horror of not knowing if you want to marry someone, but yet your wedding is in like 2 days and everyone's already flown over and like you already paid for all the accoutrements and the dinner and like that is terrifying. Like I get why people just like get married even if they don't really like each other, like because you've already paid for everything. Like everyone's already here, so I guess we have to do it. I don't think that's a good idea, but I understand how you would get to that point because it's just like, yeah, all this stuff is extremely expensive. All the crap that they had to do, like the wedding photos and the flowers and stuff, like that's just too much stuff. Like
I mean,
they're
the biggest crappy thing for me is the whole dancing thing, where the dance instructor gets super serious. She's like, "Oh, she's like, it's our wedding. Let's have fun as we're dancing."
right.
And she goes, "Oh, I don't have time to redo your choreography. We're sticking with this." And she cuts off the music and is like, "Cut this shit out." I'll be like, "Excuse me, man. We're paying you. If me and my husband decide that we're gonna like have fun with our opening dance, we're gonna have fun with our first dance. You need to relax
Exactly.
your tone, kind of thing."
Yeah, everyone was so, but I think that's like I've been watching videos with like about weddings and about one, it's such a huge industry, but also like how people get really serious and like I don't know, weird about these things. Like it's really a lot. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
maybe y'all should have just eloped. And maybe we wouldn't have to deal with any of this. But I don't know. It was really,
I mean,
yeah.
look, at that point, at that point, as far as long as, like I said, the wedding is a week away after that reveal, at that point, you say, you know what? We don't need a dancer anymore. We don't need a DJ anymore. Cool. You know what? They're fired. They're fired. This money that we spend on those two things, clearly you're dealing with something that's now being brought to the surface of you, and I'm not handling it correctly. You need to go to marriage counseling,
Oh yeah.
which they probably should have been doing before. Like
Yes.
even no matter how good a relationship you think you have with somebody you're about to marry, you should do some pre-marriage counseling
That has to be a
first.
requirement.
First, because had all that been done, they probably wouldn't have the communication issues that they have in this movie.
Yeah, and like why are you finding about out about that now? Like that's so it is really like I feel like even if you're dating someone and you like know like okay, I think this is the person who I want to marry, I would start going to counseling then
Yeah,
before you even get engaged, before you start planning things, before you start paying for wedding venues. Have those conversations with the professional before then, just so you really know that like this is the person that I'm gonna marry. Like you know who you're marrying, and you're
yeah,
not finding out something insane like that. But it doesn't even have to be like that. Like it could be something else. But I would suggest it as some pre-engagement counseling.
yeah,
But
yeah. It's yeah,
yeah,
it's this movie is a lot like the only person I'm silent is Zendaya's character. Like
truly,
everybody
truly
else
the
can
only.
just fuck off. She's like the only person within her right to be angry about it with everybody in this whole thing. Because even the best man was like, "Hey, don't talk about sex with her parents." There, hey, I'm gonna just say, "Oh, I didn't mean to, kiss her. I know if you killed somebody, I would still love you. Hey, we have great sex." Yeah, no,
Like, wow, you really just embarrassed me in front of everyone. Okay,
yeah,
cool. Like, I would be so pissed off. Anyway, it's an interesting movie. I think that there were a lot of things that needed to be fleshed out, recentered, better written. But I think if you just want to have like a fun, messy time, I would go see it because it was that.
I mean, for me, a bit like after a while, it dragged a bit too much.
Mm-hmm.
Spending so much on Robert Pattinson's character just spiraling was not fun to me because even the spiraling wasn't something that was engaging with you anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It was a weird like, why are you spiraling about this kind of thing?
Right.
So at that point, I was out of it. Like maybe if they also, in this moment of revealing her past to him, if we spent more time like this, then her reconciling everything as well,
right,
like the duality, like the two sides. He's not handling her past, and now she's like recovering and finding herself out of her past in that time frame. Maybe might be enjoyable, but yeah, this to me, this movie is not worth the money I paid to see it. To be honest, like I feel like this movie could have been like on Netflix or Amazon Prime.
It is kind of giving Netflix psyche.
Yeah, so it's giving me it's giving bigger budget Hallmark movie, Lifetime movie, big budget Lifetime movie,
It's giving those movies that are like on Amazon Prime. I can't remember what they're titled, but or even on Netflix, where it's like it is a movie about like a couple, but like it's kind of corny a little bit, but this is giving a bigger budget and like slightly like better, definitely better acting, whatever. But yeah, it could have dropped on Netflix or Amazon, and it still would have been. I would have still watched it, but it's just like
this movie is giving basically bigger budget, better editing, better filming, better cinematography, Tyler Perry.
Ooh.
To me, yeah. But this time it focuses on the issue of the man, not the woman. Kind of thing. But yeah, it wasn't worth the money to me. But yeah.
We have less than a minute.
You want to wrap it up, or you want to go to something else?
No. Let me wrap it up.
Okay.
All right, that's it from us this week. We hope that you're all doing well and taking care of yourselves. Make sure to check out all of our social media. Support us if you can, and we will see you guys in the next episode. Goodbye.
Au revoir.